Hello, everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of Into the Multivoice, Big Daddy Gaming's official news and discussion podcast. I'm Mel, and we've got quite the docket of topics lined up, but before we get into that, who are all you people?
Random
So
strangers.
I'm Kevin. I'm the guy who's been writing yesterday's news tonight for the last as long as I can remember.
I'm Greg. I'm typically an RPG writer and also, I guess, the interview guy now.
I'm James. I smell like a pine cone in a candy store.
I'm Solomael. I had just kind of joined as a writer.
All right. So I figure we'll start with games. We move into news after that. Sound good to everybody?
Yep.
Fantastic.
Good.
Yep.
All right, and so there is a big new release today. Kevin, you and I have both been playing Pokemon Snap. You got any thoughts?
It is significantly better than I thought it was going to be, because I thought it was just going to be like really riding that nostalgia from the N64, but it's so much more than that, and I'm probably 18 hours in and still finding new stuff. So I love it.
Yeah, I've been liking it a lot too. I've been pacing myself deliberately because I know, given that it's a Pokemon Snap title, it's probably going to be on the shorter end. I've just unlocked the third and fourth paths to go down. But
nice.
God, is it pretty. It's
Yeah.
so pretty.
It's the coolest thing for me is it's weird being inside of a Pokemon game and there's no combat. Like it's just like it's me going around what the world would be like when Pokemon are there, and it's really cool.
So what
Right.
you're saying is you support animal abuse.
I have thrown apples at more than my fair share of Bidoof, so yes, I
Good to
have.
know.
I
That
thought we already went over
Squirtle,
this with Black and White and PETA.
that Squirtle just wants to eat, and you're chucking things at it.
Hey, if it helps, hitting them with apples technically gives you a 2-star picture, so I have to hit them with apples.
Oh, okay. I really want to play that game. Looking to get it sometime this month. Excited for it.
Yeah.
It's cool to be able to see like the different scale of Pokemon. You're like, oh look, a cutie fly is about like on the size of my thumb, but then you're like, a Blastoise could crush me to death.
Oh my gosh. And the beautiful... Some of the things that, like, I know it's all pre-scripted, but some of the things that happen are just so funny to me. Like, I turned my view, and there was, like, a Beautifly, like, 6 inches from my face, and, like,
In your
just its face filled the entire camera view.
There's an equal balance between times that I said, oh, that's cute, and holy heck.
Yeah, imagine playing on VR.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, this should have been a VR title, and it would have been perfect. I hope there's an update for Labo later.
My camera would move faster if it was in VR.
Right?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense because it's a fixed point of view on rail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems like that's just like the total slam dunk.
Do you think
Right.
they'll update it in 3 years like they did Super Mario Party with the VR Labo update?
If it means I get new areas and VR support, yes.
No,
I mean, in
just
3
just
years they could have like whole new hardware that has way better support.
It's true. But it'd be like them saying, by the way, Mario Party 10 now has better online. You're like, who still plays that? But either way, I want it. I want it all.
10 was better than Super, but I got your point.
So
I don't know.
that's
I haven't played a ton of Mario Party.
Let
I
me
literally
tell
haven't
you.
played one before.
I haven't played any Mario parties after the Bowser thing. With the
I do
Wii
remember
U.
10 because a buddy of mine had 10, and we thought
Alright.
everyone being in the car was the dumbest thing in the world.
You are correct.
Okay.
So anyway, we were saying Snap is incredible. Everybody should play it. Sell your blood. Do it. Do the thing. Just
Sell your
get this
blood.
game.
Yeah,
if it comes to that, do it.
And I'm actually really impressed. So I have a roommate, and she, like, the last console she played before I moved in with her was the Wii. Like, she's been out for a while. And so she, like, I've slowly been like, yes, you should try this. Take it. And so I got her to play, like, the PlayStation 4 Spider-Man and, like, a bunch of other stuff. And the one problem is that she gets, like, nauseous playing first-person games, which cuts out so many good things, which kind of
Yeah,
sucks.
that's a real shame.
And we've tried fiddling with the settings, and it's just we're having trouble
Nothing
finding
works.
something. But Pokemon Snap has actually worked for her
Oh, that's
because
good.
because it's in such a short burst, and there's always that fixed image in the center of the screen.
That's nice.
So it's been really nice. She's been playing it so much.
Yeah,
That's good.
that's been our situation. Like my wife watches, she doesn't play games.
Mhm.
And so all of a sudden she's like, give me the controller. And so she's kicking my scores and it sucks. But
You're
she's
just
having a
gonna
great
have to
time.
take better photos, man. I don't know what to tell you, Kevin.
I've tried.
Just take
It's been
some
a
better
hard week.
photos.
That's your excuse. It's been a hard week. Wow.
I will
Make your
take
phone
back
sound
that
like
Wii U
oak.
I sent you.
Don't make Kevin come through this screen, James.
That's my one true fear is people jumping out of the screen at me after I say mean things to them.
Here's the trick: always use a phone. That way, they'll be really tiny when they do.
Ooh.
You're not
Ooh.
wrong. Willy
Ooh.
Wonka taught me that.
If Willy Wonka taught it, it's something to keep note of.
Yes. All right. Greg, you played how's it pronounced? Atelier Firis?
Yeah, so I played Atelier Firis, the remake this week, where you play as a girl that was sealed up in a mountain town for some reason. And Sophie from the first game comes in with a giant bomb and blows open the door to the town. And then you learn alchemy from her, and you decide to go try and take the alchemist exam so you can live outside of the town. And yeah, you literally get outside town and Sophie abandons you and goes off on her own, leaving you to figure shit out after that.
Amazing.
Which I really enjoyed the game. I love games with like heavy crafting systems. They're some of my favorite to play, and the crafting system in this is superb. But it's a game that like encourages exploration, but you're on a time limit. You have 361 in-game days to actually get to where you need to be to take the alchemist exam. So I
sounds like
I didn't
if
really get to
Breath of the
explore.
Wild
Yeah,
had a time limit, and that sounds awful.
I didn't really get to explore. Like, there's 3 areas I never got to go into because I was on a time crunch. Because on top of that, you need to find 3 certified alchemists to get letters of recommendation from. And each of their quests takes like 12, 15 of your days away to actually finish. So I didn't get to really explore the game. I felt rushed. I hated it. I would have liked the game better if there wasn't a time limit to it. And there's like no real clear marker where you're supposed to be going next, because it's literally like, go explore the world. You don't know where you're going. Great. But as the player, I kind of want to have an idea of where I need to go and how many days it's supposed to take me to get there. I think when I got to the final town, I only had like 40 days left of my time, which probably means I could have explored a side area there, but there wasn't any point at that point.
Yeah,
Like,
that's kind of hard to have a huge like exploring world, but be
I
limited
got
in how fast you can do
yeah,
it.
I got to the end of the game. There wasn't really. It would have taken me 10 in-game days to track back to one of the side areas I didn't get a chance to explore. And then I would have only had like maybe 5 in-game days there before I had to head back.
See, like, it feels like one of those things that like they put in for replay value. Like, sometimes you'll get to go to these areas, and sometimes you'll get to go to this other one. But in a lengthy RPG, I don't think that's what you want to do.
Well, I mean, I think my first run of the game was only like 20 hours-ish. Something about that. Yeah. Your whole big goal of this game, go beat the alchemist exam and you can win your life. I failed. I failed that.
Congratulations.
I failed
yeah.
that exam so hard.
We are
Brilliant.
so proud.
So I got the bad ending. Yeah, for a game I'm supposed to be reviewing, I've only seen the bad ending. So But I don't know. I didn't really, and I didn't feel prepared for the exam because you didn't know what it was, which turns into like a 3-part thing, a written test kind of thing, multiple choice, and then create an
Is there an
item.
essay question?
No, no, thankfully not. But create an item as another portion, and then do as much battle damage as you can to an enemy as the third portion. And the game does not tell you how many points you need to pass. It doesn't tell you how many like questions are in the multiple choice section. The synthesis portion, it doesn't tell you what you should be making to increase your score. It's like, make whatever you want. Turns out quality is a big part of that, guys. And I did not make a quality item because I chose a high leveled item and I had no good component.
Just thinking back to the idea of like
I
having to
could
do
never.
an essay question on Switch. Like, how would that even work?
You are able to answer an essay question in Undertale.
That's fair. That is true.
Yeah, and
I
Links is
think
always
there
the
is a
correct answer.
character limit, though.
But no, I don't know. I feel like I would have enjoyed the game more if I didn't feel rushed through it than feeling like I missed half of the game because I couldn't explore any of the dungeons at length. Or really level up to fight any of the bosses. Just
That makes sense.
it was kind of a bummer. I felt rushed through a game with a very beautiful world and an interesting story because the time limit said so. That kind of sucks.
I'm still fully convinced that Atelier games are not made. They just pop fully formed into existence.
You know, with the
I've never seen
amount,
a single
many.
Atelier game like advertised. It's kind of like, oh, by the way, there's 3 of them now.
yeah. The Atelier games are like a really popular franchise that doesn't get marketed like at all because it doesn't have to now. They don't have to market that. They just
exist.
Yeah, it just pops up and people will buy it. People will buy it in mass. And I can see why. They're fun RPGs, but I think all of them generally have this time mechanic in them, and I don't think that works well for RPGs. So
Well, specifically this one. Where you
specifically
need to have more time to.
specifically this
to
one
make
where
it.
I needed more time to like gather quality ingredients and actually get some talent perks to find better ingredients, especially this one. It does have a new game plus mode though. And
Are you
I've
looking
been
to fail that one too?
Well, no. I'm looking to pass this one. I'm looking to
Oh.
pass this one, James.
Sure.
I
believe.
want to pass it this time, and I feel like because I know where I need to go to get the letters and what I need to do there, I'll be better prepared to manage my time better. Plus, I didn't have to waste like 20 days at the start of the game crafting combat items because the combat items I had carried over into my new game. Not my
Fair.
components, though. My resources and the recipes I learned, I have to go find again. But my combat items, they carried over.
Cool.
So you can kick some ass.
I was kicking ass in the opening area. I'm one-shotting everything, and I'm like, I feel so powerful. And then I go to the second area, and I'm like, I feel weak because this thing bullied me almost to death.
Classic RPGs. Making you think you're a god just to make you think you're a fucking peon.
Then at the end, you kill God
Yes, exactly.
with the power of friendship every time.
Apparently,
Every time.
apparently, if I do super good on the Alchemist exam, I can face off against my in-game rival and Sophie in battles.
That's kind of cool.
Nice.
But that's
You did
just
not mention an in-game rival.
you have an in-game rival that
There we
ends
go.
up, that ends up
There.
helping you 2/3 of the way through the game. So she
So
doesn't
this
even
is
end up
Pokemon
without
Go.
a rival, though.
Yeah, so she doesn't even stay your rival. But apparently you can fight both of them if you do overly well on the exam, not just passing. You have to like go above and beyond to be able to get those fights. And apparently they're pretty easy too. You just chuck bombs at them till they die.
The imagery
note.
of that is beautiful.
Just throw some bombs at them till they die, which you've had plenty of. You get plenty of experience making bombs in that game.
Good to know. I'll apply my my Gotcha Force knowledge to that.
Chuck bombs and shoot lasers across the screen till everything dies.
Exactly.
Solomael, you played Control, right?
Yeah, it's one of the games I've been replaying recently. I've also been like extensively like trying out the Dolphin emulator, like more so
cool.
than I have before. So like, but yeah, it's like one of the things that I probably have like a lot to talk about, you know.
Well, go ahead.
What are you playing
All
on
right,
there?
so yeah, I'm playing on PC, and I actually originally got a key for the Epic Games version with my previous graphics card that I bought. And so the thing about the game is that it's actually like kind of like a crisis of like the current hardware generation. You know, there's console versions, but like the PS4 version isn't exactly like up to snuff with the PC version, and the Nintendo Switch version is streaming only. So yeah, and yeah, like basically it's like a combination of very sophisticated pre-baked shaders and like character models and very impressive destruction physics with like the ability to also like have ray traced lighting on PC as well. So yeah, it's like turning everything on Ultra is basically like doing Microsoft Flight Simulator on Ultra, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that's why it was also like one of the first to incorporate deep learning super sampling as well. What that uses like basically it's a technique on with some PC games where like there's this AI that's been trained with 16K images of gameplay to try to figure out like how to denoise a smaller image when you upres it, basically. And the original version of that didn't work all that great, but it was still impressive that it worked in real time and it improved performance significantly. But like there was a lot of details that were just kind of crap, like with like grading on bulletproof windows, and this one person that has a very thin toupee looks bald from a distance, you know. And but they basically like ironed out almost every significantly noticeable problem except for like lighting gradients, like in the most recent iteration of DLSS, which was like something that I could really clearly notice when replaying it recently. And but anyways, enough of the technical parts of it. Like the reason that like I could potentially talk about it for like the entire rest of the podcast is because there's like it's like a game that really tries to push your imagination in a way that's unique with the concepts with concepts of culture and otherworldly interaction with like the humanity's subconscious, you know. It's all really interesting, and like there's just like all these little eureka moments you get when you read a log or like hear someone say something and you start connecting some dots and you come up with theories about the world itself, you know.
That's cool.
Yeah, I've had it on my backlog a while. I just haven't gotten around to it.
That's the same with me. It's been on my backlog for quite some time. Really
Yeah,
need
like
to get playing that.
Yeah, my first piece of advice is to play it on PC, and because like yeah, I'm pretty sure that like I it's been a long time since I heard about the PS4 version, but like aside from having to aim with analog sticks, you know, you have to deal with like the performance issues, and like also I currently have a 3060 in my computer, which is it's a pretty competent card, but it's definitely not top of the line. So like I tried experimenting and comparing ray tracing off versus ray tracing on, and it doesn't take away a ton of performance, but compared to how it used to work when it was first introduced, but it was significant enough that I figured, you know, I should probably keep ray tracing off because it makes a difference from like running at 70 frames per second to running at well over 100, which is huge. Which makes a huge difference when like snap aiming is like the primary form of gameplay, like from in basically every single like part of the combat, like in this gameplay loop. With like with enemies you gotta like run out of the way of and like shoot while you're moving and all that. So
Dang.
and yeah, I mentioned the destruction physics, and it's genuinely like really impressive, like just how I think with stone railings, for example, like you can like pull a chunk out of it with your telekinesis abilities, and it'll be incredibly physically accurate, and then like you can like throw it back onto the railing and then like lob another chunk off, and it's really difficult for me to like describe with just words and
It's
not
super
demonstrating
impressive
it.
if you see it in action. It's really
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah, and also like bathroom stall doors, they just put way too much effort into like the physics of bathroom stall doors. Like you can literally like shoot a circle of like chunks of wood around in a circle, and then like the remaining part will fall off once it's all separated, and it all just works really really well.
yeah, it definitely does
Yeah.
sound like something that I'd be interested in playing. Like, fortunately, never on my PC that I run now. I'd watch the poor thing melt if I wanted to run it competently.
Yeah, PC hardware is kind of a problem right now with availability.
Yeah, I have some upgrades in mind, but I can't get any except for I can get the power supply I would need for it. Nothing else.
That would be step one.
Yeah, and also
50 more to go.
I think that there
50
was
more.
like
Yep.
I think that there was like a real there was like a real like attempt at like a consistent vision with like the way the control tries to be photorealistic, because it's not just for the sake of being photorealistic, it's also to mesh it with like real footage of real life actors, like
Oh yeah, when like
and
the intro, the tutorials and stuff are all live action,
yeah, like
right?
well, not the tutorials, but like there's like a few shots in like the intro where there's like the real life actress that like the player character is modeled after, and there's like one character that's like significant to the story that only appears as a real life actor and nothing else. And so it's like if there's still a tiny bit of the uncanny valley with facial movements, and stuff, but it's like it's all really impressive, like how it manages to like try to be like artistically consistent that way.
It's cool.
Yeah, I'm really happy with the way this generation we've realized. I think we've gotten to the point where we can make people as realistic as possible. Let's start doing weird art styles, but still, when they go for that hyper realistic style, it's always pretty damn impressive if they
Yeah,
pull it off well.
like the subsurface scattering on human skin in Devil May Cry 5 is just like straight it's just like straight up like launching past the uncanny valley,
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely.
it's black magic at this point.
Yeah, it's just
So
it's just the magic of like a proprietary engine.
So
Yeah, for sure.
somebody has sold their soul to the devil to get the graphics realistic as they are in some of these games.
Yeah,
I
RE
don't
Engine
know.
is impressive.
I don't know what they have leaking over at Square Enix, but their games always look gorgeous from that standpoint.
Yeah,
And I don't know what their budgets are or anything like that, but it's just like, all right, you twice they have gotten me to buy games based on how pretty they looked. Twice I was burned and hated them.
Ooh, fascinating. Which games were they?
Did somebody buy
Um,
Balan Wonderworld?
Oh no,
I
don't tell me that's
almost-
one of them.
I almost got Balan. Like I was smart enough to jump off the trailer. That was the second one. But the second Final Fantasy I ever tried was Final Fantasy 15. Because it both looked amazing and I had heard great things. and I couldn't.
It's go ahead.
To this day, the only Final Fantasy I finished is the 7 remake. I haven't even played 7 yet.
Final Fantasy 15 is a surprisingly boring game.
I was off-put by there was such inconsistency in the world building.
It really
like
was.
It's like, yes, there are these just monsters roaming around, but yet like there's no walls on any of the cities.
Yeah.
And there's cars and cell
Maybe they
phones,
just have
but then there's
sniper rifles.
this giant god. It's like,
And
what?
everyone is just in a t-shirt and jeans. Like, while the main characters are looking like that.
The main characters look like they belong in a boy band, and everybody else is just like, oh my gosh, it's the prince and his goth entourage, because...
Yeah,
And no one else is apparently allowed to wear that.
Right. Well, speaking of RPGs, James. Super Mario RPG, I hear?
Oh yeah, this would be the second time I've played it in my entire life. My first time was in college when it came out at first on the Wii's eShop, and I was like, I've never owned that. I've never known what this is. Let's give this a try. I don't remember if I ever beat it, but I did beat it this time during a Twitch stream, and I had some pretty helpful guides throughout it that helped me fight Kulex. That might have been a spoiler. It's 20 years old. Just
I was going to say, I think people know he exists at this point.
Are you sure?
Well,
I hope so.
if you don't,
Also, spoiler
I don't know.
alerts.
if you don't,
Shinra isn't the real villain of Final Fantasy VII.
Good to
What?
know.
Wait, what? Oh, you're going to throw more spoilers now?
Yeah, all the spoilers. Bowser is the bad guy.
Wait, what happened to the princess?
No one knows. No one knows. She's just gone.
what?
So you were playing that, and you played that for what, like almost a week on your streams?
I think we had 6 parts, so it would be about 3 weeks because Mondays and Tuesdays are usually that. But I'm a little surprised at how strong I was against all the bosses and all the supplies I had gotten, because I don't think I had gotten any of that on my first college run through it. So it was an incredible experience to be able to have that. My one complaint about the whole game is the controls, because I've been spoiled by current gen games and their use of control sticks, their snappy controls, the way they move and feel and look, and how I can move the camera. With Super Mario RPG, everything is turned 45 degrees, so it's incredibly difficult to land things. And I can't imagine having played this on the SNES with a D-pad and having only those 8 directions. I can't imagine how difficult that must have been to play.
That was a progenitor analog sticks where you had to treat it like it was an analog input by rolling your thumb over it, I guess.
Yeah, we didn't have anything else to judge it off of, so it was the greatest thing we'd ever played. And then realized very quickly, man, climbing these vines in Nimbus Land sucks.
Or doing the jumping up that wall of
if there's
troopers.
any complex platforming section in that game is terrible. The combat story, fabulous, but we don't talk about getting between those places.
Yeah, I played
terrible.
I played all the way through like Mario, the Mario and Luigi and Paper Mario games. So like going back to it is really jarring because of like how much less precise and like well telegraphed all the like combat inputs are. You know.
Exactly. It was a fascinating experience, and I would gladly play it again in like 2 years when I've forgotten most of what happens and why I didn't like it very much. But it still holds up, I gotta say. It's a very fun game. Needs more Luigi.
So in other words, Paper Mario was the perfect follow-up.
Paper Mario is the only follow-up.
Except for Mario and Luigi.
We need a moment of silence there for Alpha Dream.
Oh.
Okay,
Hey,
but
look on the bright side. Maybe a future game in the series could be made by Next Level Studios.
We can only hope.
It's like you're screaming all of my dreams out on a podcast, because I would love to hand all of Nintendo's secondary series to Next Level. Give them Mario Party, give them Paper Mario, give them Mario and Luigi series, because they've already proven that they can shit gold with Luigi's Mansion 2 and 3.
I really hope they make a Punch-Out prequel where you play as Doc Lewis rise in the ranks. That'd be really cool.
That would be great.
Wow,
And the good ending is him discovering chocolate.
You guys are digging for the bottom of the barrel here of games Nintendo really needs to make here.
Even sequels, prequels, it doesn't matter. Just hand it all to next level. Let them do it. They obviously can. You can leave Fire Emblem to Intelligent Systems. I have no idea if they do that well, but whatever.
Actually, I can vouch for that. Like, Three Houses is literally my favorite game that currently exists on the Switch.
Exactly. They can obviously print gold, so let them have Fire Emblem and give Paper Mario to next level.
To be fair, though, they actually split up development of Three Houses, where Intelligent Systems handled like basically like all the writing, like for like all the different characters and like writing like the scenarios. And they got an entirely different studio to do the technical aspects. And I think it was the same studio that helped with Fire Emblem Warriors as well. Like mostly because like it kind of like with like there's like a mode where you can zoom in on the battle map and then you see like this third person view that looks a lot like Fire Emblem Warriors, and you can even move around your character at super speed like in that game too. So anyways,
Fire Emblem Warriors.
Well, that pretty much sums up what we were all playing.
No, we have one more. So Mel, how's Returnal been for you?
Returnal is both amazing and like so frustrating at the same time. What you have heard about that first biome being rough is true. I don't play a ton of roguelikes. Like, I haven't even gotten around to playing Hades yet. I keep meaning to, but I haven't gotten around to it. The only roguelike I've played extensively is Binding of Isaac. But I love it, so works for me. I also don't play shooters. I am not a big shooter person, so obviously Returnal was the perfect game for me to play. But I feel like I'm getting the handle of it pretty quickly, and that most of that comes down to the fact that the main character, Celine, controls so smoothly. Like, she is quick, she turns on a dime, the dash and the jump are A+. Like, I know there is a hook shot sort of thing in the game, I just have not gotten to that point yet. And I feel like the second I have that, it's just going to be flying all over the place. But it's been really good. The story is doled out very piecemeal, but that's what I expected from the way that the game is structured, especially since you're dying all the time. From what I've heard, there are like 6 biomes or something like that. I have yet to beat the boss of the second. I just got to it for the first time yesterday.
Congratulations. That's rough.
Yeah.
Well, it took me forever to beat the first boss. And I think the issue with that is that they have their health bar. And you deplete it. And there's another one. And there's another one.
Like 4 or 5 health bars. You're like,
the first boss has 3 health bars. It's the first one. Cut me a break.
That seems ridiculous.
It's brutal.
Yeah, I feel like my only real complaint gameplay-wise is that the bosses are just a bit too drawn out. Like, by the time I get halfway through, it's just, at this point, I am endurancing it.
At this point, just take me. I don't care anymore.
Well, it's interesting because I know that the further you get, bosses, I know at least the first boss is optional. Which is interesting.
So from what I haven't, like I said, I haven't beaten the second boss yet, so I can't speak to the second, anything past that point. But after you beat the first boss, you don't actually have to fight that boss again. Like, there are some pickups that are permanent. Like, when you find the sword, you have the sword from then on out, basically. And so when you get the key from the first boss that opens up the portal to the second biome, you can literally, like, if you run into that portal on your second room on your next run, you can go right through it. You don't even have to finish out the rest of the first biome, which you're gonna want to do because you need stuff.
Yeah. Because your bosses unlock like the big heavy things, like the super big upgrades and stuff.
Yeah, and there's like, you know, your currency that you pick up over the course of the thing, and then you spend it in the little shops. But then there's a second currency that's permanent. That's I believe it's called ether, and what it does is that persists round to round, and you can use it for a couple of different things. You can use it to
cleanse things.
There are like these cursed items that like have a chance that like when you pick it up it'll give you a malfunction that you have to do something to get rid of it. But you can just, if you think it's too much of a risk, you can cleanse the thing for like, I think certain things it's 3, certain things it's 5. I'm sure it gets more expensive the deeper you get into the game. You can also use 6 of them to basically give yourself a revive at a specified point. So like, say I'm deep into the second area and I find the revival thing. If I die, I'll come back to that specific spot.
Yeah.
But you'll have lost certain things, but not others. It's kind of weird. I haven't done it because it's like, I'm not getting that deep into it. What's the point? And you can also use them when you very first get into a run. There's a little, right next to the first door, there's like a machine, and you can spend so many of your ethers and it will actually unlock a new item.
Oh, cool.
That you get right there. You get it right there at the start of your run, and then after that point it can just show up in other runs.
That's nice. Yeah,
which is really cool. The craziest thing to me is the way that, so your health bar isn't small, but it isn't huge either. It's just kind of average. But there are certain items you pick up 3 of them and you can expand your health bar. And it doesn't expand by very much, and I felt kind of cheated.
Yeah.
I felt kind of cheated, like, I got all 3, why won't you expand more? I've seen how this works in Zelda. And
I'm sorry, Mel, you wanted them to give you more than, like, 1 extra hit?
It's not even that, it's like...
1 hit!
It would be like someone saying, hey, you're getting a raise at work, and it's like they give you an extra chicken nugget in your meal. You're like, I can't even spend this. Like,
yeah, I want to say it probably gives you somewhere between like 5 and 10% more health. Not even.
Yeah.
It's like
a spit in the
sliver.
eye.
Until I found out that if you pick up a regular health item that like restores health when you have full health, it counts as one of those 3 charges.
Ooh.
Oh.
Which I thought that's a really good way to reward players who manage to not get hit early on.
Well, there's that, and there's the adrenaline system too, isn't there?
Yeah, there's also the adrenaline system that for like however many you kill without getting hit, like it's like 3 kills, you go up a level, and at first it's like slightly increased speed, or like it'll let you see
a little
like
bit stronger or something.
Yeah, it'll let you see this little like glow if like there's a enemy behind a wall, so you know it's there before you go around the corner. The biggest thing it gets is the second you hit 5, it gives you a 1-hit shield.
Ooh.
Yeah, so but it doesn't restore that shield at all, so if you get hit once, then you lose it, and then another hit's gonna take away all your adrenaline. But the craziest thing with the health upgrade is the way you can cheese it in the first area. Because if you make your way all the way back to your ship where you started, you can go inside it without ending your run. Sleep, it'll restore your health, and then go back out and keep going. So if you are willing to take the slow route, you can just keep running back there every time you get hit.
And just give yourself a better chance.
Taking notes.
So it's like
it requires
Pokemon.
sitting through the going into the ship animation, the laying down and sleeping animation, coming back out of the ship animation, and it does not always restore all your health, so you might have to do all that twice if you got hurt bad enough.
Oh, man.
But it's...
I'll take it.
Yeah, but it's so beautiful, too. Like, the way that everything glows, and, like, there's just something really pretty about the patterns at which the bullets get sprayed at you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to describe it, but, like,
it's like
to the
watching
second...
one of those, like... Sorry, go, sorry.
I got to the second area, and there was so, like, there's these jellyfish-looking ones in the first area, And in the second area, they have those, but now their heads are cubes instead of round. And it shot bullets at me, and it shot like a square of bullets. And it was like, yes, perfect, beautiful. Show me more.
So it's taking notes from Minecraft.
It feels like it's taking it from like the Toho bullet hell games. Like those just Japanese 1,000,000 bullets on the screen.
Listen, I love those games though. I love those games though.
Then you'll do great with Returnal. You should start playing it.
I have to. Listen, I gotta do Oi Village first. Oi Village is first, then I'll play Returnal.
That sounds like an excuse.
It's not an excuse. It's a very valid reason to not get beat up by the first biome.
One of my favorite things. One of my favorite things is, okay, so like every time you die, you get sent back to the beginning, right? And it shows like a quick little like maybe 5 to 10 seconds depending on which one you get. There's several of them, which is nice. It's not the same thing every time. Animation of Celine crashing down. And then there are like 4 different positions she can wake up in. Like she can wake up laying on the ground or like slumped up against the ship. And sometimes you'll wake up in the ship. And so you have to like do the little animation to get out of the ship and stuff. But that gives you the opportunity that you can, without having to like go into the ship to do it, you can look at your stats and it tells you how long you've been playing and how many times you've died. And I don't like looking at the died number. I really don't.
I felt that a lot because I reviewed Hades last year, and that same idea. You're looking, it's like, hey, I finally beat the game. Oh, this is run 71. Oh, it's like that's my first victory. Oh.
Right? Like it feels so good at the game until you don't.
Oh yeah.
I don't look at those stats when I play games like that. I'm just here to have a fun time, guys.
You gotta actively close your eyes when you look at those.
I actively close my eyes when they flash them on screen too.
It's like the end of Kingdom Hearts. You just close your eyes like, I beat it 100% to me. I don't know what the game is saying.
For Returnal, I am here for a good time, not a long time.
As you get blasted the second you leave your ship.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I was so frustrated. I had an item that for whatever level of my adrenaline was, every time I hit something, I had a chance to get that much health, like that percentage of health back.
Oh,
and so I went into the second boss fight with like a 2.3 adrenaline level. And it was great because my health was like half, and then I started blasting it, and my health, it just ticked up, and it was like, and then I got hit. And suddenly my adrenaline was 0, and I was no longer recovering any health every time I hit it. And that happened when I was halfway through the second of 3 health bars. I died halfway through the 3rd health bar. It was awful.
It sounds
that
like
makes me
a
a little wary
ride.
to play.
It's good though. I recommend it. It's a lot of fun.
I don't know. It makes me more excited to play. I'll have to squeeze some time in to start it this weekend.
I mean, the biggest downside it has, though, which I really hope that they do some kind of update, is the issue of the saving. There is none. Like even.
Oh yeah, that's right. It uses like the sleep function as your save.
Yeah. So in most roguelikes, you can shut down the game and come back to it. Like even when I play Binding of Isaac, if I get halfway through a run and I have to do something else, I can close the game out entirely, and it'll drop me like when I come back in, like at the room I was last in, or like at the start of the level or something like that, right? And so like it is possible to stop in the middle. You cannot do that with Returnal. Like, if you turn the game off when you boot it up next, you will be at the start of a brand new loop. And from what I hear, if you go full run, your runs can last like 4 hours.
Yeah.
Oh, and I thought the FTL was bad.
And so they say, just put it in sleep mode, and your run will be waiting there for you the next time you come back. But that, you lose it if the game is updating. You lose it if you have a power outage. You lose it if you have someone else who uses the system who plays another game.
Yeah.
Like, they need to patch something in.
So
and
I
understand
good if it's just like
is a
Majora's
deal
Mask.
breaker for some people.
Yeah.
That's actually really bad, in my opinion. Because I like Binding of Isaac being able to just jump back into the run I was doing. And it seems like such a standard.
Run will be like 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it sounds like such a standard.
Is like 25.
Such a standard
I
for
think
the
that,
genre.
The reason that that aggressive auto saving exists in roguelikes to begin with is because they don't want you to exit if something terrible happens and you want to undo it,
Or lose a run to a power outage.
Right.
Yeah, that too.
I think we all know the. Go ahead.
The craziest thing to me is the people who are like, oh, but that's the way the game is intended to be made. And who are actively fighting against getting this temporary save when you turn the game off in the game. And I'm like, this does not make you a hardcore gamer. It just means you are disrespectful of the fact that other people cannot sit down for 4 hours straight sometimes. And every time they put the console in sleep, it is a risk.
The solve for the autosave
while you're
issue
sleeping
is the autosave.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And there are distinct rooms. If it just makes something temporary every time you go into a room, and if you die, it disappears. It shouldn't be that hard to. Well, I don't know programming, but it shouldn't be that hard of a sell to players. Yet for some people, it's this point of pride. It's a single player game. No one's coming for your leaderboard score, honey.
Can you name an adult right now that can sit down for an active 4-hour gaming session and play through this type of game all the way through in a complete run without having to get up and do something, to be an adult, to go to a bathroom, to get food, to do something that doesn't involve them not just sitting playing this game? Can you think of an adult person that can do that?
I mean, someone stuck in a hospital bed, probably.
I can do it, but not without neglecting my family.
Evil point right there.
Yeah, I tend to play most of my games after my roommate's gone to bed because I am working from home, so I can basically get up whenever I want, whereas she's a teacher, so she has to get up at 7 a.m. So I'm usually up to 2 a.m. anyway. So she goes to bed, and I have 2 to 3, maybe sometimes even 4 hours where I can sit there and play. But that's still a big ask if your run is that long. And that also assumes I'm going to get it in my first try. And let's be honest, if I'm booting up the game after not playing for a while, I am not going to get it on my first try.
Yeah.
Autosaves are important, kids.
Well, here's hoping that gets fixed. I know they've done a couple of fixes so far, so hopefully that's one of them.
Yeah, they've done a couple of updates, and the first time they didn't warn people that there was going to be an update, and a bunch of people lost their run because they updated, so now they're actively being fair warning, we're updating tomorrow, turn off auto updates if you have them on. But
what a fucking go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, it was bad. People were very upset, but Housemarque seems to be listening to what people are saying, which I take as a good sign that we will eventually see something patched in, but if not, it could be a deal breaker for a lot of people, and I completely understand that.
Yeah, for sure.
I like the decade of the roguelite and the roguelike containing the autosave function, and then Returnal comes out nah, we don't need it. We're good.
Well, even the original Rogue had an autosave, a temporary for when you shut it off.
Yeah. It's a crucial function to having a game like that.
Yeah, it is necessary. You need this.
Incredibly necessary.
All right, you guys want to get into the news?
Yeah, I think that covers everything everyone's been playing.
Yep. So first I have on our list of news topics, Sony and Discord are partnering up. So obviously,
looks like just PlayStation integration.
Yeah. And from what I've seen, they look like they've made some level of financial investment into Discord as well. But we can now assume that the Microsoft buyout did not end well.
Well, they that's probably why I pointed to this article to begin with. It just came out of the blue that they decided to be an independent company and then to partner with Sony instead of being bought out by Microsoft. Granted, I'm glad they weren't bought out by Microsoft, because Microsoft has ruined almost every other thing they got their hands on recently.
Right, and I think Discord remaining independent and just getting like a little investment from companies here and there in return for like figuring out an integration for them or something is ultimately better for people who use Discord.
I'm curious to see what the integration is going to be. Like, I'm assuming it will be something like clip sharing or something like that, because I don't look at a PlayStation and say that's more convenient than my phone or a computer. So I'm curious what the extent of that integration is going to be.
And even
I
if
mean, it would be handy if it was an integrated form of voice chat. You know,
that would be nice. That'd be really nice.
That would be real nice.
I'm thinking that's probably what we're gonna see. There might be some level of text feature functionality if they like create a Discord app for on the PlayStation as well. But I don't see that being the most used feature if it happens.
Yeah.
I don't see a Discord app actually doing anything for the PlayStation that PlayStation isn't already doing, so it has to be something.
I mean, it would be an easier way to stream to like one or two people.
Oh, that's a good point.
Well, that's
Personal
true.
streaming would be
Private
real nice.
streaming.
I mean, I could easily see it being. I know that people have complained about Sony's voice chat in the past. This could be them deciding this company has it together. What if we just partner up with them and have them fix our shit for us, basically?
Smart.
I mean, that is also not a bad call on Sony.
It's just like how gamers are the new QA testers.
Hey, buy the
say,
pre-alpha version and also buy the merchandise I'm selling for it.
I was going to say, I thought we'd hear more about it at E3, but then I remember that Sony's not going to be there.
Yeah.
So maybe if this is like a precursor to having like...
Well,
I mean...
Let's be honest.
When did Konami release games?
Konami makes one game a year, and that's it. That's all they do. They're a gambling company. Yeah, they're a gambling company now. But
I find it funny that they felt the need to announce something that nobody expected.
So, I do have a concern with the Discord Sony partnership, and that would be account security, because that's why Facebook integration is no longer a thing on Sony, because there were account security issues and exploits people were doing through the Facebook integration system. So, I have the same concern now. If they do a Discord integration, how secure is Discord's servers really?
Well, but here's the difference, though, I think, on that, though. If someone breaks into my Facebook account, they have access to a lot more of my personal information and photos. If they break into my Discord, they're certainly going to get a lot of memes that I posted, but I don't think it's like my security information.
Maybe they're after the memes.
Maybe you post quality memes.
All of them for me.
So that's just my only main concern with it. Like, I think it's a great partnership for them. I hope that partnering with Discord fixes their voice party system in some way. Because God, is that awful.
Do you want a little irony added onto that? During this podcast, Discord did crash.
Oh, very nice.
It did?
Yes, it did. I was being texted by one of my friends in another Discord, being like, "Yo, Discord's down." It's like, okay, I can't do anything about it, but thanks.
It also hasn't done it for us, so
fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Don't worry, something will show up.
Well, on another side of Sony news, PlayStation 5 has beaten 4's sales record for like similar span of time.
Because they sold every single one that they made.
Yeah, it's because they've literally been able to sell every one they've made available.
As someone who managed to secure one, hell yeah.
Solo.
I'm sorry,
Solomael,
I caved and bought a scalper console. I apologize.
So, Solo, you were saying that they're going to plan on making even more consoles now that they're like limiting the silicon they're putting inside the shells?
Yeah, about the news story that that someone else brought up. That according to the article, a new revision would probably exist mostly to streamline the outward design to make it easier to produce and ship and all that. So I'm guessing that they won't nerf the insides, because that would cause a whole lot of problems with software developed and currently being developed specifically for it. So you know.
I mean, especially where I'm hearing that games like Returnal and Resident Evil Village are kind of pushing the PS5s. So that would be a huge blow if they're saying it's like 90% as strong. You're like, you're having a hard time with what you currently have, and it's only been a year. So I think it's probably just going to be something cosmetic.
Yeah, Returnal is definitely pushing it, because there is that little cutscene that is at the beginning of each loop, which theoretically you're like, yes, this is the bit where it's doing all the things to make my new run, but you can skip that cutscene, so it's working pretty freaking quick.
Yeah, that would be due to the SSD, of course.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they're not gonna try to nerf that, because they integrated they integrated the SSDs into proprietary firmware in the operating system itself. So if they change something about the SSD, then that would be a lot of headaches for them.
Right.
Especially when that's your entire selling point for Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. It's it loads a little bit slower. It's that. Wait a minute.
The whole there's a really big advantage to having a console with an SSD, because unlike PC, you don't have the potential variance of all these different models with different amounts of with different variants of possible speed within those models, according to thermals and storage space remaining and all that. You have a lot more consistency, so developers will always know they have a certain amount of bandwidth to work with, so they can actually tailor make short loading times, like they demonstrated with Rift Apart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so
I think it's probably
it wouldn't be the first time.
Hopefully be good. Sorry.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the first time we've seen Sony release their console and then realize the logistics of full scale production and then scale things back. I mean, the PlayStation 3 had a lot of variation, especially right away. There was a couple of ports they dropped, and they slimmed the thing down. I don't think we're gonna see a slim right away.
It made a lot of sense for them to do that with the PS5, because it was super experimental, out there hardware that people didn't understand. It had 2 strong cores and 6 weak cores, and it cost $599 famously. So yeah.
Sony was riding high on their hubris during that generation. It was basically, they'll pay for it.
Well, yeah, Sony turns around and releases a $600 console, and they're like, oh, people are gonna buy it. And there are people that did. I still have one that's backwards compatible, but when they went for the redesign, it's literally the first thing they cut was the $150 chip that made the system backwards compatible. Was the first thing they cut from the PlayStation. That's
what people say. They say, backwards compatibility, it's a thing that everyone wants but no one uses.
Yeah.
Hey, I used it.
Yeah, and we're all no one.
If we're gonna hop over the opposite side of the fence, Microsoft picked up their own partnership this past week with Limited Run.
This leads to a funny story, but
I literally just heard that Limited Run existed a week ago, so
Limited Run was a thing that was news to me as of last year, finding out about the Switch Core, when people were just gotta have physical copies of everything. There's a market for it, which makes sense. And Microsoft could certainly use that to say hey, Limited Run is going to take care of our Halo Infinite collection. They're going to do our cool helmets or whatever they're going to do this time. But it's a weird partnership, because it's not like Discord, which seems like it's a pretty functional thing, but Limited Run is is this kind of like Microsoft buying a bunch of studios that people still think are worth the money, or is it going to be something that will make something cool that people will want?
Well,
the weirdest thing to me about it is that Limited Run is a pretty they're successful, but they're still pretty small scale.
Mhm.
And it sounds like Microsoft basically wants to use them for their distribution, if I'm reading things right, which is weird to me because Microsoft is a big company with a lot of money.
Yeah,
I mean,
and Microsoft also seems to want them to prioritize their stuff, their market over other markets. If I was reading that article correctly, I think I was. It was one of the concerns the co-founder of Limited Runs brought up about the deal, but nothing's solidified with that yet. But it sounds like Microsoft wants Limited Runs to prioritize like Xbox releases over releasing
Right, and
for
I
other
could
platforms.
understand if it was like, here is this small indie that Microsoft has supported, which they've done in the past. Like, they brought Unravel in front of everyone, and they've had like a lot of these games that's like the digital stuff that they prop up. If they wanted to do a limited run for that, makes total sense to me. But if they want them to handle Halo, Microsoft, you have the money, just do it yourself.
Yeah, really.
So I'm interested to see if maybe around E3 they talk about this, because the thing that Microsoft loves doing above all else is bragging about big things they bought. And so they'll probably be like, we bought, I know, it's not like Bethesda happened or anything. But I mean, it'll be interesting to see if they're like, hey, you probably saw that we partnered with Limited Run, here's what we're doing. And maybe it's like a super cool collector's edition of Ori and the Will of the Wisps. Or maybe it's something that they're doing like that. But it doesn't make sense if it's going to be them saying, we're doing a collector's edition of that through Limited Run, to which they're saying, we're running out of a garage. Like, we can't handle this. So, I don't know. I'm interested to see where that goes.
Right. I think it's one of those things where we just kind of have to wait and see how it turns out. There's no really telling what's going on behind the scenes from our perspective right now.
But it's going to be interesting to see what that first release is.
And if we want to complete the trifecta of the big game companies, we did have a Nintendo news in that Game Builder Garage is happening.
Yeah.
It's been freed from the shackles of Labo.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It still looks like something that might belong to a Labo project.
My favorite response I've seen to this so far is, you made the comment earlier, Mel, about, it's like, well, aren't game testers QA? And it's like, Nintendo just said, shut up, you're making games now. Like,
they
do
already
your own job
did that
now.
with Super Mario Maker.
Yeah,
I know, but now they're like, make your own everything. Quit asking us for stuff.
Listen, if you want it, just make it already. Stop bothering us.
Or just play F-Zero GX on Dolphin. Oh wait, don't do that, please.
I mean, I'm curious to what the extent of the features are going to be. Like, I mean, how in depth of a game maker is this going to be?
There was some interesting things I saw in the Nintendo page and in the trailer I'd like to mention.
Sure, go for it.
First, it's gonna support a USB mouse that you plug into your Switch dock. Second, you're gonna be able to tear into other people's games that you download, which was interesting. You can throw those games into freelance mode, which is what they call the free creation mode of making your own stuff, and you can look at what other people did to make their games.
So now they're introducing kids to the concept of digging through other people's code.
Yeah,
code theft.
They really are though. They're like, yeah, if you really like this game, they're encouraging you to look at it to learn some tricks to do things better. But my immediate thought was, that's code theft if I take it and put it directly how they did it, right? Like, that's just
hey kids, here's a new concept. It's called theft.
just take this game that's doing what you want to do in your game and steal what they did and just plug it in. I'm sure it will work. But I think I love Nintendo's push towards creation tools. I really hope we see more of this in the future and that other developers get behind it. I know Sony did Dreams, but let's be honest, nobody bought Dreams. It kind of flopped.
Dreams has a dedicated community, but is a very small community.
Listen, if I didn't basically need like the PlayStation Move controllers to effectively use it, I'd be fine with Dreams. But all I ever used Dreams for was to play other people's stuff.
I guess it just didn't have the mascot platformer appeal as like a Little Big Planet, you know?
Yeah, and I think my big hope for Game Builder Garage is that it looks very similar to other big programs like Game Maker and things you can buy on your PC that are a lot more powerful. So if anything, this will be a good way for them to say, hey, we gave you some basic tools, look for something that's a little bit stronger, and we'll teach you in a really easy, basic, simple way how to make bigger, stronger things. Because that's my hope. Because that was super cool.
Yeah, like one of the big like obstacles to game design and programming in general, like when someone wants to know more about it, is just like the sheer like massive cliff of like learning all of the fundamentals, you know, and then you have like cliffs that's like go past to that, you know. So like it's cool that Nintendo is trying to make something that'll genuinely like make it easy to learn fundamentals.
Right.
Because I remember that was go ahead. Sorry.
Depending on how this turns out, we could be seeing basically the baby's first game maker for the next generation of developers.
Yeah. And I think, because remember, Labo had this with like their Labo Garage, which kind of makes a lot more sense now that they're making this thing. But it was, I had no idea how to use it. Because I'm like, sure, you can make your Labo do stuff, but this seems like way too intense for what I want to do. But this seems like a much smarter way to jump into that and a lot easier to start.
Right, and by making it its own thing, I will suspect that there's going to be a lot more tutorials in it that teach you more bit by bit than
one of the trailer. The trailer really showcases that there is going to be a story mode that would teach you to make all different kinds of games. So
that's so cute.
I'm excited to get my hands on it just to see that, and I probably will buy it when it comes out. I can't imagine I'll make anything good on it. Kevin, you're making that fighting game, right?
I am, apparently. I am going to be given, as far as I know, I am in charge of reviewing that when that comes out. And I'm curious to see what comes out of it.
Well, I'll have to download it when it's done. You just let me know. They do showcase a fighting game in the announcement trailer.
They did, that's why I brought it up. I mean, $30 is a great way to start off, so I'm in.
Yeah, also super reasonable. They're not pricing a whole bunch of people out at dropping it at 60, which is really nice.
Game maker guy for Smash.
I'm gonna say control stick with eyeballs for Smash.
Yes. Sony trademarked Sunset Overdrive. Did anyone see that?
Yeah, that was a real shocker.
I did, and I'm wondering how they did it, because wasn't that a Microsoft exclusive or something? So how exactly did Sony get it?
It was a Microsoft exclusive, but I believe that Insomniac retained the rights to it, and Sony bought Insomniac.
Well, that just probably means they're going to do something with it.
I would not be surprised if within the next year we see an announcement that like a port or an enhanced edition is coming to PlayStation.
I don't want either of those. I want a damn sequel, Sony. It's time. We have enough ports of Sunset Overdrive. The Steam port is fine. Give me a sequel. You can even make it exclusive to your platform. Just give me a sequel.
Yeah, just please hire some new writers for the jokes this time, please.
Yes.
My big concern is that Insomniac has a very full plate right now. Because they're doing Ratchet and Clank, and presumably they are working on another Spider-Man game because that's incredibly popular. And both games have sequel keys to hell and back. So I'm worried about them spreading themselves a little too thin if they're expected to make another Sunset Overdrive as well.
So then Insomniac just provide the overseeing staff and have another company that Sony owns handle it. Sony owns a handful of development.
The studio is free.
Yeah, give it to limited run games. They'll go well with it.
It's good. It's real good.
Kevin, you had me put this on the list. The $80 Among Us button.
Okay, so this is hilarious. So limited run after like the day they get announced for Microsoft, that are just like, by the way, we're releasing a physical copy of Among Us, and I'm like, okay, how much is Among Us for consoles? $5. Why is this $80? So it comes with, I think it's 3 copies of the game. Does it say?
But it doesn't say
So
what the
3 physical
platform
copies
for
of
the
the game.
physical edition is.
I'm assuming you would pick that whenever you buy it. So if you wanted to get a physical copy for Switch, they probably have a version, or whatever you want to do. This is on everything now. And so, like, but it comes with the $60 button. And it's a button that you push, and it makes the emergency meeting button. But that's it. It doesn't connect to the game to be like, I need to push the emergency button and it works. It's not functional.
How
It's
long
just
until someone connects it to the game, though?
I give it
Probably
8
never
minutes.
because like I'm pretty sure. Well, I mean, like if you wired like something from the insides to, I don't know, that'd probably be, I don't know, it sounds beyond like reasonable like levels.
If
of,
I've seen
like,
people play, I've seen people play Dark Souls with potatoes. People can make this thing work.
I
And
want.
they
Yeah,
probably
like,
will, and it'll be great for like a YouTube video, and everyone will go, "Wow, they actually did that!" And then remember that they paid $60 for a button.
I've seen people.
I mean,
the
like I'd buy it
soundtrack,
if I had just a bit more money and a place to put it. I'd definitely buy it.
I've seen people like big up cantaloupes as controllers for rhythm games. Like,
Yeah,
don't underestimate a community. If somebody really wants to link this button up to the game, it's gonna happen. Like,
it's just $80 for a game I can get free on my phone. Like, all right,
But
you know what?
but you
That's
gotta
limited
watch.
run. That's
You
what
gotta
they'll do.
you gotta watch ads on your phone, which can
Okay.
boot you out of game lobbies.
Okay, that'll be 10 seconds and a button push. Just saying.
Or $5 on Steam.
Or $5 on Steam. I don't need to spend
free on Game
$80
Pass.
on a button.
I have no interest in picking it up, but it's great for the meme.
It's absolutely
Listen,
100%
that
the best meme
That
I've
product
seen.
exists
Yeah,
for
there's like
somebody.
so many high effort
It's-
Stevie Gunner stuff.
It
Oh,
sounds
yeah.
like it exists for Solo to buy if he had the room for it. It exists for somebody out there.
$80. I will never forget this.
What is the most pointless collectible you've ever seen?
Mel's portal
Probably
gun.
all of them.
Mel's expensive portal gun.
I saw
Hey,
someone
don't come
wearing
to me
a
about
convention
this.
once.
We've
That's
been
a
over
beautiful
this
thing
already.
people give to her.
It's
And
just because
come for me.
it's just because I'm jealous, Mel. It's just because I'm jealous. I would put that thing on a shelf in a heartbeat if I could find one.
Hold on, right here. I know the audio listeners won't be able to hear it, but I do have my
Oh, nice.
Mogwai.
Oh,
It's a puppet. It's so cute.
that is adorable.
It's like a Furby, but it's better because it's movie reference.
Yes. Okay, so the last two things we have kind of flow into each other. So let's start with the smaller one of the two. Walmart had a cloud service that they were trying to pitch to Epic Games that clearly fell through.
So what you're saying is, right here in the audio recording, as you're editing this, you want the loudest laugh track you can fucking find.
I mean,
I'm
not surprised Walmart tried it, but
I'm surprised
don't
it
think
fell
any of
through.
us would have expected it to go well. We've seen what happens when these companies that are not primarily gaming companies try and move their way into the space. Sometimes it goes really well, like with Microsoft, and sometimes it ends up like Stadia.
Oh.
Well, we don't talk about Stadia anymore. It's probably going to go up on the Google Graveyard site in about a year.
You know what we talk about even less than Stadia? Amazon Luna.
You're right.
Oh.
You're right.
Oh.
I know one thing you need to talk about less than that though.
Deep cut.
Fantasy World Dizzy.
Wait, what?
Uh-oh.
Fantasy
Yes,
World
we
Dizzy.
obviously do,
Never
because I
mind,
have no
anyways.
idea what that is.
Ugh.
What is that?
Really, really old game that also really sucked. Anyways.
Okay.
Oh, you want to blast from the past? You want to blast from the past? The Ouya.
Loved that thing.
All 8 games for that were so good.
No, it's It's the stupidest thing you could ever buy for $90, except the button.
Hey, do you like playing games on your phone? Well, I bet you like them even more if you couldn't play them on your phone.
Exactly. That's its whole point. It was. I wish I had bought one because it's so stupid. It would have been a focal point in my house. I have an Ouya. And then people would leave being like, this guy has no idea how to spend
He
money.
obviously must not be talked to. But I mean, so going back to like what we're actually talking about with Walmart, I mean, like they did the whole thing with, was it Vudu? Walmart's like movie service. If you buy a movie at Walmart, you can like get it streamed to this other thing.
Yeah, something
like,
like that.
That became a
Nobody
giant
cares about
pirating
it
hub.
because, yeah, because you can just it's not. They tried to move into a space that was already crowded with better services. So I'm curious what their pitch was and how hard Epic laughed them out of the room.
Now the problem
As their own gaming service. They're just no.
Considering it's like part of public record through court documents, I'm sure that people are going to do all sorts of deep dives into like what information we have. It seemed like it was mostly a handful of emails, but I wouldn't be surprised as we get further into the trial that's happening, we start getting more information. Because the other big thing that's happening is the Apple versus Epic trial is finally making arguments. And we are getting so many behind-the-scenes documents and paperwork. It's amazing.
Bits.
I just want to, because I have the numbers pulled up, go over my favorite bit of information that's come out of this. So you know how Epic was giving out all those free games for a while back?
Yeah.
So we got the numbers on how much they paid for some of these games to be free on their thing for however long it was, and how many people they got new accounts as a result of those games. Meaning, we know how much they paid for each
user
game. Yeah,
user attention.
Yes, and sometimes it would be like they paid $1.74, which not great, but not awful. But then there's Celeste. They paid the developer $750,000 to give this game away. It was downloaded a total of 2.7 million times, but only 62.5 thousand of those were new, meaning that they paid $12 per new user.
So they basically almost paid
the Epic Store.
They basically paid almost full price for Celeste at this
They paid
point.
retail price. Yes.
to get you on their platform, to give you the game. And that might be the only game you play. I think I've only actually bought in 2 games off the Epic Store, because I bought Ooblets, but I don't remember the other one, but I'm pretty sure I've only actually bought in 2. And then the rest of my library is the games they give out for free.
From what it seems, there are a lot of people who just got the free things, and that's it. But we do know that they made bank off of Borderlands 3's exclusivity.
Oh, yeah.
Because as much as people bitch and moan, they wanted Borderlands now.
And they
I didn't
wanted
even want to buy it, but I ended up doing it because a friend had it.
And they wanted it on their PC at launch, and they didn't want to wait for Steam to get it.
Right, they didn't want to wait for Steam when no one was talking about it anymore.
How much did they
pay?
Much did
that? Yeah, how much did they pay for using on that? That's pretty
They didn't give that.
Let me see if I can find that out.
Did they?
Yeah, they didn't give that away. You're right.
Yeah. So that was something you had to buy at full price.
But still, that's powerful. It's a big move.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, all this stuff we're finding out about them, which is both interesting and it's kind of crazy, some of the arguments that are getting made. Has anyone looked at any of this stuff?
The only one that I know is that there are notices in there talking about Samus potentially being a playable character in Fortnite.
Yes, which that never came through.
I mean, I'd be unironically happy if that happened. I mean, like considering that like the Metroid series is largely ignored, and like Samus existing as like a cameo in like one of the biggest games that currently exists, to bring more attention to that would I don't see that being a bad thing.
We're talking Nintendo here, who
Yeah,
doesn't want to touch
Nintendo
anybody
is
with anything.
so protective of their IP, though, that it doesn't
ever since the
surprise me
CDI.
that didn't happen. We've seen some arguments that one of Apple's big arguments in this lawsuit is that Sony basically does the same thing that Apple does in having their kind of walled garden approach to things. So why are you suing us but not suing Sony? And that's their argument. Like, if you're suing us, you should be suing them. So what's different about them?
Hey, they're
The
next.
difference is you have so much more money than they do.
Well, because of the Apple and Epic trial, there is a class action lawsuit against Sony right
There
now.
is.
And it's
wow.
all because of this trial. I shared this the other day in chat, and I told Mel I would like to mention it. And she's like, well, it's because of the Epic trial. I'm like, great, we'll already discuss it.
It definitely is because of that. It's not a company suing them. I believe it's like some individual kicking off this class action suit, right?
It's an individual that was basically motivated by Apple and Epic fighting each other to be like, hey, Sony, why can't I buy games, digital games, on any storefront for your system but yours? Because Sony, I think it was either 2 or 3 years ago, pulled all digital products off of other storefronts. So the only way you could get it was
Amazon and GameStop.
Yeah,
and stuff.
so the only way you could get it was from them.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
I don't know
how
if it's gonna go anywhere. I really don't. I just thought it was really interesting.
I believe Sony's response would probably be, yeah, you can't buy the digital at other storefronts, but you can buy the physical.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Which...
but all they have to argue is, but you have digital only editions of your consoles.
Right.
Holy shit, that's a fantastic argument.
Well, it is. It means they have a monopoly on all purchases for the digital edition of their consoles. And
man,
technically they shouldn't be able to have that, so
we'll see how it goes. I mean, that's a good argument.
I'm definitely going to be following this. If it goes anywhere, I'll let you guys know, and we can talk about it some more. But right now, all it was filed.
It's super early stages.
And they're looking for other people to get behind it, pretty much. And I am following.
That's all the news topics I had. If anyone had anything else.
No, nothing big happened today.
All right. Then I think we can wrap up for the evening. Does everyone want to say where they're at on Twitter so whoever listens can find them?
Sure. I'm Kevin. I'm SML Captain. You can see me whenever I post the Yesterday's News Tonight, and find me there.
I'm Greg. You can find me at Briss_Pit. I usually share everything that we put out there, so follow me for a lot of articles, game news.
I'm James. You can follow me at JFarabs. I'm extremely annoying on Twitter.
Yes, he is.
I don't have a Twitter account, but I have a pretty cool SoundCloud. It's pretty easy to find. Just look up Solomael or probably just Necrodancer or Cave Story, because I kind of glut my entire account with those so far.
SoundCloud. I'm so proud of you, Solo.
Twitter.
It's too bad none of my it's too bad I never had a tweet that blew up so I could use that, you know?
Never get a Twitter and have that be like the staple you have every single time. Just follow my SoundCloud.
Yeah, just like, or alternatively, whenever there's an entry for like to put in my Twitter account, I just put in my SoundCloud link instead.
Exactly.
Just follow that.
All right.
Stuff.
Cool.
And I'm Mel, and my Twitter is @MelCurtis, all one word. I got lucky enough that I was able to grab my name. And then, of course, there is the website Twitter, which is BDG_UK. So that's where you can find all of us, and we will see you next time.